For your chance at winning one of my finished models, head over to my Patreon page. I have a link in the description and enter the monthly giveaway. The body kit and decal sheet used in this video are provided to me free of charge by Plamos. I was not paid to say or do anything. These are my own opinions and interpretations on how I would like to use this kit. The chassis and interior are done. The body has now had enough time to dry, so I could move on to doing the final details for some of the interior pieces and then just gluing it all together. Firstly, I started off by just masking off the clear part for the window and adding a trim around it, just masking it off, then marking it with a pen, cutting it out and painting it black. Now, in the end, after I did all this, I discovered that the kit came with a mask, and I should know this as I've built this kit before, but I forgot and took way more time than it was supposed to take, and it didn't really look as good as it would otherwise. But lessons learned, maybe look in the kit first and then start doing stupid things like this next time. Yeah. With that all said and done, this was done in about 2 or 3 coats, and then it was fully covered. Moved on to doing the window trim as well, while I still had some black on the brush. The headlights came molded in some chrome, and I wanted to add some black details to make them look a bit darker and stand out pretty well against that silver body. The taillights were painted red with a permanent marker. This stays clear and it works really well, dries super quickly, and most of the time it is a really nice even finish overall. The headlight lenses just received a small black border around it with a permanent black marker, and then everything could be glued together. I firstly just started with a couple of small parts and some regular super glue from Bob Smith Industries, and for most of the clear parts or parts on top of the body that stay pretty visible, I just used some Super Gold Plus, as that is not supposed to haze and is a bit safer to use, as some of the mistakes might not be visible as it dries super nice and clear. Before gluing the rear view mirror in, I took out a Scale Motorsport microfiber cloth and cleaned up the windshield from the inside so there were no paint marks or even fingerprints left on it. With all of the lights now glued into place, I could glue the body kit on as well. This was done with the Super Gold Plus as well, just like all the clear parts, as it is a pretty visible part and I don't really want any hazing or super glue marks on the body itself, so the Super Gold Plus is the way to go for these parts, as it's pretty much invisible. With most of the major parts to the body now installed, I could just install the chassis and interior by clicking in the back and then snapping in the front. The shark antenna, the rear spoiler, and the other antenna were glued in. I'm pretty sure that I glued one antenna too much, but nothing I can do about that now, I guess. The mirrors were added and then glued into place with that metal pin that I drilled out first on both sides, both on the body and in the mirror itself. I used some special metal rod that I bought at the hobby shop, but you just as well could use a paper clip or something like that. Doesn't really matter as long as you have drill bits big enough and that it holds a bit of pressure when you try to rip the mirror off, as it's supposed to stay in place, and this reinforces it quite a lot. And that's pretty much the final detail that needed to be glued on. The tires were put onto the wheels, and then the wheels were put into place on the body.